Plant Talk. Today I'm sharing with you 6 non-plant things that I use for plants all the time. First up, cinnamon. I know you've probably heard this before, but you can sprinkle this in your soil to prevent fungus gnats. I do it all the time. Twist ties. You guys are throwing these away. What are you doing? These have so many uses. I use them on my moss poles to secure the plant. Any plastic container. I'm using this one for leca. I have a Florida Ghost in this Starbucks cup, and this would make a great prop box. I know there's a lot of items like this out there, but I personally love having my mini vacuum for my plant area. If you're a plant person, you know the soil, the perlite is fucking everywhere. Now, when I didn't have cactus gloves, I used kitchen tongs. If you have a super prickly cactus, this is great for hanging on to it when you're repotting. And last but not least, tweezers. I use these guys all the time for various pruning and even picking bugs.
How to pin vining plants to make them grow thicker. Start by planting the rooted cuttings as you normally would. Then start wrapping the vines around the surface of the soil. Then pin the vines to the soil using bobby pins or anything similar to them. Take your time and make sure to get all the vines secured down and firmly in place. I like to cover the vines with a little bit of potting mix just to speed up the process of new root and vine growth. Make sure to keep the soil moist for a few weeks, and here at the end is a plant that I started from just a few cuttings, and I use this method. It's gotten pretty bushy.
What's up, Plant Talk? This is 10 things I wish I knew in the beginning of my plant parenthood, part 1. Follow for tips 6 through 10. Tip number 1, aerate compacted soil with a toothpick or chopstick before watering. This helps to get oxygen and water to the roots. This leads me to tip number 2, which is mix your own soil. For my soil right now, I am using basic houseplant potting mix, orchid bark, perlite, and charcoal. Tip number 3, set up plant swaps online to get plants from your wish list instead of buying them. Here's a few that I got. You can set it up on Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Tip number 4, if you find a cute pot without drainage or something you want to be a pot, don't worry, just use it as a cash cow for the nursery pot. And tip number 5, alcohol can be sprayed on most plants. It evaporates quickly and is great for pests. Hey y'all, welcome back to part 2 of 10 things I wish I knew in the beginning of my plant parenthood. Number 6, hold off on repotting for as long as possible. Your plant needs time to acclimate to its new home. But there's always an exception, like this plant that was planted in a pod, and this pod held in moisture and contributed to root rot. So always check your roots in your soil when you bring your plant home. Number 7, bottom water your extremely dry and thirsty plants. When the soil dries up, a lot of time the water will just go on the side of the pots and not even soak into the soil. Number 8, water BTI into your plants. This will cut back on fungus gnats. It'll kill the larvae. I just use these. I put them in my water, let them soak, water it in. Number 9, use a moisture meter. This will be a lifesaver when it comes to making sure you don't overwater your plants. Number 10, and maybe the most important, be sure to sanitize all your tools after using them to make sure you don't transfer bacteria or any other kind of disease from one plant to another.
More plants you should get, low light edition. Here's the thing, these plants will tolerate low light and they'll be happy and they'll survive. But if you give them more light, most plants will grow bigger and leafier. Here's a crispy wave fern. I give it very low light conditions and it thrives. ZZ plants are super hardy, they tolerate the cold well, and this one's the raven variety. Snake plants are super popular and I grew these ones from propagations. The heartleaf philodendron. This is neglected in every manner possible and it never stops growing.
Thanks for asking me about my string of hearts, because it reminded me that I've been meaning to do some work on her. She needed a little TLC. I've been noticing some little dried up crispy leaves on her, so I'm just thinking she might need some fresh soil. Yep, a repotting will do her good. And string of hearts love well-draining soil. So I used Fox Farm as my base, then added some sand, and a little orchid bark for the extra drainage. I think that ought to do it. These little tubers down in the soil, they do not like to be wet for too long, so that's why the well-draining soil is very important. It's also important that she dries out really well between waterings too. And here she is, repotted. String of hearts are considered succulents, so they like a lot of bright light, but make sure this lady has bright indirect light. This is how far mine is from the window. She could probably use more sun, but it's a bright room. I do love this plant, but if you're OCD, look out, because she tangles so easily. And I want to leave you with one last tip: bottom water.
Are a few that are easier than others, the Calathea mantra, and then the Calathea beauty star, but beware of the Calathea. Next up, this guy. Don't think about it, don't look at it, don't dream about it, don't anything. Don't mess with this guy. This is the maidenhair fern. Again, it's super high maintenance, and I've heard people have like killed theirs in a matter of days. Shockingly, mine's still alive, but stay away from them. The next one is a bit more based on personal experience. This is the English ivy. I kill all my ivy unless it's in water. I think they're pretty high maintenance and they're difficult for me to take care of. And I can definitely be doing a part 2.